movie begins in the morning. Seth gets up to start another dull day. He has no friends and no family. The only friends he has are the dogs at the animal control center where he works. After feeding the dogs, he goes into the cage with one of them, Lexi, and hugs her to feel better.
There she is. Hey, big doggy, big doggy, big doggy.
One evening, Seth rides the bus home and is surprised to see a woman named Holly. He walks over to say hi, but she doesn't know who he is. He says that they attended the same high school. They didn't talk back then. Seth was a year older and only knew her because she was well-liked. He sees her writing in a notebook and tells her she is a writer. Holly says she is a waitress, and writing is just something she does for fun. Seth tries to tell a joke, but it feels uncomfortable. Holly gets off the bus soon. Seth tries to ask her out, but she can't hear him. That night, Seth checks her social media and is glad to see that she has a dog. The next day, he asks his friend Nate for advice on talking to girls. Nate tells him to be self-assured and make jokes. Later, Seth feels really sad when he learns that Lexi has to be put to sleep. He takes her out of her cage and places her softly on the table. The vet tells him he can take her home, but Seth says he can't. He lives in a place where pets are not allowed and he can't afford to move. Lexi dies after getting the shot, and Seth takes her body to be cremated. As Seth takes Lexi's name tag off her cage, he hears a weird sound nearby. He opens the door to look, but doesn't see anything strange. After work, Seth keeps looking up Holly online and writing down everything he finds out about her. He looks at each picture and eventually discovers where she works. The next day, he goes to the diner where Holly works and has to remind her who he is because she doesn't remember him. He tells her she has nice hair, but she keeps it formal and just gives him his food. A little while later, Seth asks her to go on a date. Holly says no to him because she has a boyfriend. Seth quickly says no you don't, and that makes her uneasy. She puts the bill on the table and walks off.
Thanks for coming in.
Hang on.
That night, as Holly is going home, she feels like someone is following her. Seth is outside her house, hiding in the bushes. Holly tells her roommate Claire that she sees someone outside, but Claire thinks Holly is just being overly worried. Then Holly receives a call from her ex-boyfriend Eric, who is very drunk. After she hangs up, Claire tells her that she should forgive Eric because being by yourself is hard. Holly says no and drinks something else. The next morning, Holly goes to the diner and discovers a big bunch of flowers with a card that says, "Be mine." After work, Holly goes to Eric's bar and tells him not to send her gifts, but he keeps saying he didn't send them. He tries to get her to come back, but Holly says he cheated on her. Soon, Seth comes into the bar and observes from afar. When Holly goes outside to smoke and write in her notebook, Seth follows her and tries to talk. Holly still doesn't know who he is and says she's going to leave. Seth confesses that he sent the flowers, and Holly finally remembers who he is, realizing he has been following her. A desperate Seth insists he isn't crazy and just wants to chat. He says he's always remembered her since school. Holly tries to walk away again, but Seth stands in her way, which makes her panic. She shoves him away and runs back into the bar, and Eric sees that Seth is following her. After Holly tells everyone that Seth tried to grab her, Eric jumps over the counter and hits Seth in the face. Even though Seth is bleeding on the floor, he starts to laugh, so Eric kicks him again.
You think this is funny?
Holly needs to stop him from causing more harm. Eric kicks Seth out of the bar and tells him not to return. While Seth is lying on the floor, he sees that Holly has dropped her notebook. Later at home, Seth takes care of his injuries and starts reading the notebook. It turns out to be Holly's diary, where she talks about her feelings. Seth stays awake all night reading everything and feeling close to his own anger. The next day at work, Seth sneaks into a forbidden area and finds an opening in the floor. He goes down and finds an old empty room that still has electricity. This gives him a thought. In the next few days, Seth watches a guide, buys supplies online, and builds a cage in the secret room. He keeps reading Holly's journal and takes medicine from the shelter's clinic. At home, he tries the sleeping medicine and quickly falls asleep with no problems. A few nights later, while Holly is walking home, she feels like someone is following her again. She pauses and glances around, but Seth is already hiding. She continues walking and feels something again, so she uses pepper spray but accidentally sprays a homeless man instead. Feeling scared, she runs away while Seth looks on from a hidden spot. He chooses to follow the man, who is now yelling because he is hurting. A little while later, Seth climbs up a wall to get into Holly's apartment through the window. She's in the bathroom taking her medicine when she hears a sound. She quickly goes to the living room, sees that the window is open, closes it, and then goes to bed. Seth then leaps on her and gives her the medicine that makes her sleepy. Holly has a hard time for a little while before she faints. Seth puts her in a box and brings her to the shelter. When Nate asks about the delivery, Seth lies and says his boss told him to take care of it. Nate trusts him and gets him to sign in. Holly starts to wake up and makes a sound in the box. Seth coughs to hide what he's feeling. When she makes a noise, Nate hears it but thinks it's just the air conditioner. Seth drives her to a place and then goes away. Holly wakes up alone in the cage in the empty room. She panics and tries to get away, accidentally tearing off a nail. She holds onto the bars and shouts for help, but only the dogs can hear her, and Nate thinks the barking is normal.
Shut up!
In the morning, Seth gives her a bedpan and talks to her softly, but Holly says something mean to him. Seth says she can't have food right now, but they can try again tomorrow. He doesn't pay attention to her and yells as he walks away. Once she is alone, she begins to use the chain from the lock to file down the bars. The next day, Seth finally brings her some food and water. She urgently holds onto his leg and asks him not to go. He says it's important to set limits in their relationship. Then he leaves again after saying they'll try again tomorrow. That night, Holly imagines Claire talking to her and warning her about all the bad things Seth might do. Holly yells at her to be quiet. In the end, she uses the bedpan and is surprised when a rat comes close. She keeps kicking it until it stops moving. The next day, Seth sees the mess and picks it up. Holly asks if he plans to use her. He says no, but when she asks if he will kill her, he answers, "I hope not," which scares her. Seth says he might not have any options if he can't save her. She thinks this is part of a religious group, but Seth says he's doing it for her because she's important to him. He says he felt alone and confused before he met her, and he believed she really understood him. But he soon finds out that the way Holly shows herself to other people isn't true. He asks who the real Holly is because he wants to know if there's still a way to help her. If there isn't, then she will stay in the room forever. Holly just calls him names, so Seth walks away. As Seth is leaving the restricted area, Nate sees him and tells him not to be sneaking around there. Nate tells Seth to clean up first, then he goes to check the door, but it's locked. That night, Claire's ghost asks Holly what she plans to do, and Holly replies that she will wait. The next morning, Seth shows Holly her journal. He says he feels bad for her, especially because she writes about love in a really sad way. But Holly replies that someone who is a creepy stalker like him can't really understand what love is. Seth asks about Claire and says he heard her talking to someone and using 2 different voices when he got there. He asks if Claire is in the room, and Holly says no, but she says she can see her behind Seth. She says that she knows Claire isn't really present, but Seth is talking about more than just this specific place. Holly has also been seeing Claire at home, even though she isn't really there. As Seth looks at the things written in the journal, the real story comes out. Claire used to be around and lived with Holly when she got engaged to Eric. In the end, Claire had a relationship with Eric, and Holly found out by looking at his email. While they were in the car, Holly faced Claire about something. Claire said she was sorry and that it didn't matter. Angry, Holly started to drive very fast, acting wildly while complaining about the betrayal. She avoided some cars but then lost control and crashed. Both women woke up in a pool of blood, and Holly discovered a piece of glass in her stomach. When Holly heard Claire talking, she took out the sharp piece and poked her in the eye to kill her. The police later thought Claire died in the accident. Right now, Holly says she's a writer of made-up stories, and Seth agrees that's why he needed to be sure before going to the police. He has been watching Holly for days and found out that, since Claire died, she has been killing random people on the streets in very violent ways. She was the one who set the homeless man on fire. Seth thinks she writes in the journal because, deep down, she wants to be found out and face consequences for Claire's death. But he is not there to make her face those consequences. He's there to help her. Holly says she wants help just before she sees a vision of Claire who is clapping for her. Holly then admits that she's not telling the truth to make Seth believe he has a chance. The next time Seth goes to see Holly, he brings her some water and a cloth to clean up with, but he can't help but look closely at her skin. They discuss her killings, and she says she likes to kill. Seth doesn't believe her because he thinks she's behaving this way because of guilt and past experiences. Holly shares a story about sharks hitting their heads on the glass in aquariums. She pretends to be the sharks and stops only when asked. She keeps mocking him, saying that if she dies, the police will think he is the one who did it. Feeling upset, Seth walks away. Later, Seth is called into his boss's office and is told off for not doing his job. She doesn't let him go, but she gives him a warning that goes on his record. One more mistake and he's out.
This goes on your permanent record. One more strike and you're gone, understand?
Understood, thank you. You don't know how much this means to me.
On his next visit, Seth gives Holly just 2 chocolate bars and tells her that she needs to understand she can't always be in charge. If she doesn't start acting nicely, he won't give her any food. Holly is trying to influence him by saying she has imagined them being happy together at the beach. Seth believes her and says he will bring her more food. When Seth goes out of the no-entry zone to get some snacks, Nate sees him again. Feeling curious, Nate checks the door, and this time it opens. He goes down the opening and is surprised to see Holly in a cage. She asks for help, and he starts slamming the lock, trying to break it. Just then, Seth comes back, and Holly quietly gestures for him to go on the attack. She keeps Nate occupied while Seth quietly comes up from behind and hits him on the head. Nate quickly pushes Seth against the wall. In response, Seth takes out a knife and stabs Nate multiple times before running away. As Nate tries to follow him, Holly sticks out her leg to make him fall. Then she kindly asks Seth to take Nate's life. Seth hits Nate's head with a heavy block while Holly looks on happily. When it's finished, Seth gets very upset. Holly helps him stay calm and tells him how to get rid of the body. Using the vet's tools, Seth takes out Nate's teeth, fingerprints, and nails. Then he cuts up the body and gives it to the dogs to eat. The leftover parts are burned in the cremation facility. After taking a shower, Seth calls his boss and tells him that Nate went to do an errand and hasn't come back. After a while, he tosses the teeth into the river. When he gets back to the shelter, he starts cleaning the blood while Holly talks a lot in the background. She says that he is drawn to her bad side. She takes his hand and snuggles it, then tries to make it touch her in a personal way, but Seth moves away. When he returns to the office, he sees a detective looking through Nate's things for hints. Seth is questioned about when he last saw Nate, but his story has many gaps. The detective thinks it's strange that Seth talks about Nate as if he's no longer alive. The next day, Seth walks carefully in the shelter because the detective is still trying to find out what happened to Nate. He brings food to Holly, but she just sits quietly and doesn't say anything. After asking her many times, she finally says yes to talking. She asks Seth to cut off his finger to show that he loves her. First, Seth says no. But then Holly begins to speak again, saying she has always felt different from everyone else and that only Seth gets her. Feeling very stressed, Seth rushes to the bathroom and starts to panic. After thinking for a bit, he goes back to Holly. She says she will be good if he does what she wants. Seth sits next to the cage and cuts off one of his fingers. He is crying from the hurt. Holly pretends she's going to take the finger, but instead, she picks up the knife and threatens to hurt herself unless he opens the cage. Seth opens the door, and Holly carefully steps outside. She pushes him against the wall, tells him she loves him, and then uses a knife to cut his throat. The Claire illusion shows up again, pointing to the open door. Later on, Holly is back together with Eric. She also gets a contract to turn her journal into a fiction book. One day, Eric's phone starts ringing. Holly looks at it and finds out that he is cheating again. Oddly, she stays calm and hands him the phone without saying anything. After that, Holly goes to an old building. Seth is locked in a cage inside. Now, whenever she wants to hurt someone, she just hurts them instead of killing them. In a strange way, he actually helped her. And here is where the movie ends.
And what you're doing for me. And I felt better.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and smash the bell button. Write in the comments section what kind of movie you would like to see next.